Welcome to another episode of Fire Your Boss Fridays, the podcast that's all about stealing your life back, firing your boss, and living a life full of purpose. I'm your host, Chad Passa, and along my side is my favorite rebel soul, Lisa Hart. Today, we have a very special guest joining us, Preston Callahan, owner of Callahan Auto and Diesel Repair, also a federal contractor, has a pretty cool story and an interesting journey and some new awakenings. Preston's journey into entrepreneurship has been nothing short of inspiring. With a passion for doing something bigger and better, he seized the opportunity to create his own path, fueled by a mindset that always strives for improvement. And from finding out about his ADHD, it's an ADHD brain, he calls it, to receive invaluable advice from his grandpa, Preston's turning points have paved the way for his successful ventures. Without further ado, let's welcome Preston Callahan to the show today. Preston, could you please take a moment and greet our audience with a nice entrepreneur hello from your pickup truck?
Well, hello, everybody. Sorry I'm running a little bit late. Thank you for having me. I got called out, so I had to kind of make do what I can and figure this out on my laptop. But I am here, and hopefully I can give some good advice and storyline for you guys.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right into the heart of the conversation. Thanks for saying hi to everyone. Preston, you've always been an entrepreneur from what I can tell about your story. Where did you get your business mindset? Or better yet, what drove you to take the leap into owning this business? That's kind of where I want to jump off from, if you don't mind.
Yeah, not a problem. Pretty much a ledge of have to, and I wasn't going to settle for anything less. When I first started this, it was I had a game plan on what I want to do with my life. In my head, I had a certain direction I wanted to take, and going the options of the working for someone else or doing this and doing that, kind of abiding by the status quo, if you will, wasn't going to get me in my head there fast enough. And so at that point, if it's not going to fit what you need there, you need to build your own bridge and build your own road, and didn't know how to build a road, so you just kind of jump in with 2 feet and let's see what happens and go for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So there was a turning point, though, when you decided that you're going to really start building that bridge. That came from your grandpa, the way I understand it. Is that correct?
It did. I was trying to find employment somewhere else. I was working on my parents' driveway, so I had 4 cars in the driveway, 2 on the rocks, couple on the street. I had customers waiting under a shade tree in the front yard, and my grandpa's out there, waiting for him, and he sees me just going crazy, working on 5 vehicles at a time, and he finally just kind of said, maybe you should do this. I think you got something good going for you. And I never really thought about it. And my mom's been a business owner and for a secondhand kids store, and so at that point, being the word entrepreneur wasn't really a thing, and so it was just like, you own a business or you work for somebody. And with the struggles I saw with my mom, I'm like, there's no way I want to do that. I never even thought about it. I just was like, hey, this is a skill. Here's some things I can do to make some side money at home. And but after you said that, it kind of made me think a little bit, going, well, I have a skill. Nothing about nothing downplaying any type of fast food or anything, but I wasn't gonna go that direction on something I had no idea about, and I have a skill over here. So if I'm tired of working for somebody and they can't get me to where I want to be fast enough, let's try this, see what we can do it. So there it started.
So you never worked a fast food job at all, huh?
No, I didn't. No, I have not. I've ate plenty, but no, I've never worked any fast food.
I made it 3 hours in the fast food industry.
That's probably more than I can handle. So that's.
All right. So saying no to fast food is the theme today for our crew here, Lisa and Preston. So we have 3 core principles. Well, 4 if you count working remote, but I think you fit best into the 3 core principles, Preston, and that's the steal your life back, which is that moment where you made that critical decision, right? And to fire your boss and live a life full of purpose. Now, in this, on that day your grandpa nudged you to open your own shop, I have a really kind of a heavy question. Hopefully you'll dive into it for me. Why do you think someone like that, older than you, looks at you and tries to give you that gift? Think about that, right? Why would he do that? Just except for your dad told him to do something about getting them cars out of the driveway. Like, if we can get a shop, we can get them out of your driveway.
Well, I would say it's more of the older generation looking at the newer generation, going, the newer generation doesn't work like the old generation, and I'm seeing that firsthand every day, trying to find employees for my business, and it's kind of crazy. I'd rather hire someone in their 50s that is a little bit slower, than someone in their 20s, because the older guy might be a little bit slower, but his work ethic is old school, and so just like with the hiring practice I'm doing now, I'm hiring based on what kind of person you are, what kind of I don't care about the skill. I could teach the skill, but can you have work ethic? So my grandpa was big on hey, work your tail off to get what you want. And he knew about the amount of hours I was working, 60, 70, 80 hours in the driveway, in the heat of Arizona. But when he saw it firsthand, I was actually talking to some of my customers that have been there quite a few times, and I pretty much had a makeshift shop in the front of my house. I think that's where I wasn't really thinking about the whole business motive, because I was trying to be other things, trying to go other places. I looked at this as a side gig, not as full-time employment. Yeah, absolutely. And so, but when he told me, he goes, "No, I think you got it to be able to, do this yourself. Let's, try this out. I think you can do it." And that kind of made me kind of sit back and think a little bit, going, "Well, he's got a point." And I do have a customer base already. I have the tools. I have, at 16, okay, I have the knowledge. I've been working on this since I was 16. Maybe I can't do it, and so let me Google search and see how to do this stuff,
Right.
and kind of take it from there.
So interesting. I love that story about work ethic, which you can teach skills, and you just like that kind of like, hey, I want you part of the team, right? What about this angle? I'm going to throw a twist in there. This came to me early this morning. This question was one of my original questions, but I want to know how you would treat someone, Preston, that comes to you and says, hey, Preston, I appreciate the opportunity. I've been here 2 years, but you know what? I want to start my own shop. How would you handle that transition, right? And obviously, someone who's been a good employee, we're making a hypothetical here, but we're talking about, people firing their boss, right? And that's leaving. Let's talk about that relationship. What if someone came to you with that question? How would you handle that?
Well, that's actually happened to me a couple times, and at first, as an entrepreneur, business owner, when someone says that, and they're like, I think I can do it, it's like in my head, the first thing that goes to my head is, man, I make this look easy. It's like, all right, well, maybe it's a lither bit easier looking from the outside looking in. And so I'm like, hey, I never hold anyone back to do that. Is, I had life things that happened when said I'm gonna kind of blaze my own trail here, and it's very selfish if you try to hold someone back from having their own dreams as well. Now, and so,
what if they weren't ready, brother? If you don't, what if you could look at them and go, I don't know if you're ready, man.
I'm black and white, and I'm straight up honest. And I'll tell them straight up, like, hey, if do you have any questions? What's your plan? What are you wanting to do? How are you wanting to do it? Do you have any questions for me? Because if you don't feed into that and help an employee that wants to do that, if you force them to be there or downplay their ideas, you really think you're going to have a very good employee from there on out? But what tends to happen is, I'll sit there and I'll explain it to them, and it's like, okay, you haven't seen the business side. Let me show you the business side. And part of me is like, okay, let me talk very fast and very firm. And, you get that glaze in the headlights look in their eyes, and they're like, okay, I can't do this. Or they're like, okay, I need to maybe go through another game plan. I'm like, hey, whatever at that point, you either A, you're helping them out for a future thing, or B, you have even more of a stronger employee because you just try to help them and try to explain it to them, and with entrepreneur, you either have it or you don't have it.
Right.
You can't,
Interesting.
you either have the heart, you have the will, and you have the courage to be
That's
able to try this.
so that's not a skill then, right, Preston? That's something else, right?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely
We
not.
ask that
I
question all
mean,
the time. Like, are you born with it or is it taught? How do you end up there? Yeah.
yeah, I truly think you're. I mean, and I don't think born with it. Maybe life changes. Like, I mean, just like having a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You're forced to be a father and learn how to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're forced to do something, and this is your only option, and this is the way you want to do it, or you tell yourself, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. I have done working for somebody. Now I have to try this out. And I think someone can learn it. They
Mm-hmm.
can do it, but either it takes a very life changing moment,
Mm.
or you are born with it and just
It
a
just
little
is
bit
what it is.
different.
Yeah,
You
you're
beat to a
different.
different drum than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing. That's awesome, man. So, is there anything you would that you were thinking there, Lise, on that topic?
Well, I think I read in your intake form, you said that you had a mentality that it's not all about the money. And I love
Yeah.
that. So I think you would agree that it's, kind of like finding your passion first, right? So one of my questions is what you're doing now your passion?
It is. It is. So more and more and more I'm going through business. I'm making it even more my online to what my true passion is. My passion is to help people. I was trying to be a firefighter, and I was going to school for that, and liking to help people, help people, help people. Well, yeah, I'm working on customers' vehicles. I'm helping people, but then as the business gets bigger and stronger, now we're doing emergency roadside service. Now we get flashy lights on our truck. All right, we're getting closer and closer there. You know what I mean? We're blocking traffic. We're getting called out in the middle of the night, and now we're going to wildfires. It's like, okay, now we're starting to get traction to make, and it's one of those things where it's a passion, and also it's got to keep my interest. If it doesn't keep my interest, and I don't
Mhm.
like stagnation. I don't want to show my team that hey, we're getting complacent, we're getting stagnant, and guys, this is as high as you're going to go. So let's wait it out with me. You got to keep it pushing, keep it going and striving, and so yeah, I don't do that all for my employees. So I mean, it's more for me going, okay, if I get too bored with this, I need to mix it up a little bit. And as you get into business, you kind of thrive on chaos, I guess, that in a really weird, strange way. And yeah, because to me, it feels like if things are running too smooth, what's going to blow up? What's about to
Nickelback has
happen
a song,
here?
"Things
And
Are Going Way Too Damn Good." I think the lyrics are in that.
oh,
Yeah. So,
oh my God, you can't. That names it all right there. So hopefully that kind of answers your question a little bit, Lisa.
Yeah.
yeah, Lisa, great question. I want to add to that where you found your passion, but this was the automotive business ended up being more of a bridge to there, but you were doing something, right? And if you didn't do the something, you would have never been able to develop that version of yourself that was prepared maybe to take on this firefighter contract. Is that your
Mm-hmm.
government? That's
Yep,
your
yep,
government
yep.
contract, right? Yeah. So your real passion, you didn't go after it first, but you just started going, right? And this reminds me of that commercial that's on right now. I think it's a car rental commercial where Brady, he's like, I just get on the field and I just want to go, but I don't know where I'm going. And he always like, I don't know why, but I always just get on the field and go, let's go, but I don't know where I'm going. So with you or any entrepreneur, hey guys, to our listeners out there, just go, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be everything perfect, because if you wait for that, it won't just come to be the perfect transition. But in
No,
Preston's case, he's starting to see the fruits, and he's now prepared to take on a government contract, where if he would have just said, I'm going to get a government contract to start fighting fires, they maybe would have looked at him like, all right, no, you're not qualified at all. I mean, who are you, right? Working in your mom's driveway, got five
no.
car, there's just no way. And so sometimes the world, and or for lack of a better term, the universe, God, is preparing you, and so you have to move at God's speed. So trust the flow, but you have to be flowing and moving. So, but that definitely taps into our, one of our principles, living a life full of purpose. And you're getting there, Preston. I don't think you're there, man. You look hungry still, dude. I think
Oh
there's
yeah.
still a part of
I,
you that like,
Well,
I'm
which
I'm just
brings I
yeah.
I think one of your things you said that you were new to this and you were looking to see, like you were kind of exploring ways to, I think you mentioned avenues that you can better help people and help you monetize it. So what were you talking about, or what are you referring to exactly?
Yeah. So, and so, I got, the podcast and like shows like your guys is, it's helped me out so much. And like, because as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you don't have, you can't be doing this, being the type of person where you need the pats on the back, like, oh, that a boys, you know what I mean? You have to kind of find your own outs and find your own ways, and also to be competitive, or when you're starting your business, like, okay, well, if you're going to be a plumber, there's lots of plumbing companies. How are you going to change your pipes and do your plumbing business a little bit different than the next guys, And so,
Cut
and
through the noise, Preston.
exactly, and so so listening to other industries, other entrepreneurs, and different podcasts and books, and those type of things. It kind of helps you kind of build that kind of game plan, and also it helps build in motivation. So I finally got to the point where I'm like, I've kind of taken my hits and battles, and I'm in the point of like really pushing hard. And when you go through all this battle, it kind of makes you feel good to see if someone else you can help someone else out, going through this whole journey and process. And that's why I'm like, let's see if I can do it. I think I have a pretty cool story. I don't know how these podcasts are going, and I don't know if I can even do it, or if I'm even halfway decent to be on a show. But let's, again, just like just like starting a business, let's try it out, shall we? And
Let's just
Right.
do it. He's moving forward. So
absolutely.
what's next for you, Preston? What is next? Let's play with what we call the thought experiment, right? Like, listen, you don't have to commit to all these things right now, but what would you want to commit to next? What's next for Preston Callahan, and
Well,
where are you
I'm
heading?
in the process. I have a shop, so I'm trying to get my shop dialed in, leaned out, smooth running, more process procedures in place so it can run
Ooh, he said
itself.
lean down, Lisa. You know
Yes.
what that means. You know where we're going now.
And then with my mobile service trucks, I'm amplifying that, and then with the federal contracts, that's opened up the door to start a construction company, a contracting company, which we just put our first bid on that one. So I'm gonna dabble on that, see if I can do it. If I can show myself I can do it, then I'll be like, okay, there's a whole new different line of business right there. Let's just keep on, just daisy chain of events start happening. But right now it's more of kind of set back. Let's try to build a better base a little bit more, hiring more people, and getting people in places. This is why I have to be in my truck today. Is I had some stuff pop up for one of our fire contracts, so I had to bail out real quick and come down here and get some stuff ready. And then I'm like, oh man, I got a meeting here right now, so let me see if I can do this on the laptop. So, but yeah, it's just a building scenario, and it's I got stuck in that mode forever. As proof of concept. You try to prove to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I got it? Can I do this? And then
Mm-hmm.
it took so long for me to kind of sit back and go, well, actually, it took me having a child and being a dad going, okay, I have to get this now. So let's
Makes a big difference. Yeah.
let's now
Yeah.
make the jump, and that's where things really started kind of taking place and kind of falling in line.
Listen, I'll tell you what, man. Cool. Thank you for sharing your story, man. But you said something, man, and that really lines up with our show and our principles here, which is you said I want to lean up my shop. What that means to me when I hear it from our perspective is everything that you should be doing towards your goals or dreams should be built on what we call liabilities or assets, right? And
Yep.
so when you lean up, you're basically looking for anything that's a liability and either removing it or improving it, and anything that's an asset and you're either improving it or embracing it to the next level. Now, we talk about it everything from like in the midst of things, like in the very beginning, it's like you have to go lean or you're not going to make it. You can't
Yep.
go big right away. You have to kind of, like you said, proof of concept, get out there, do it. But in your case, why do you think leaning up a company is better? Is it more efficient? What's the point of it from your perspective?
Well, the I would say the best example and the biggest example I'm having with my employees is you have all. I mean, being mechanics, we end up being pack rats. Oh my gosh, we can save this bolt for okay, 5 years down the road, we still have that both. But what tends to happen when it starts cluttering up your processes and your route of attack, trying to get things smoothed out and operating, and also then you have employees that can hide behind the clutter. The clutter can be the stack of paperwork, the just stuff in the corner that's just taking up all this space. A car that's been sitting out there in the way for too long, unorganization, they're tripping over things, tracking grease inside of customers' cars, and just on and on and on. So all that stuff is clutter, and it gives employees, and even gives yourself as a business owner some excuses, going, well, why don't you do this? Like, oh man, I just need to find time to organize my papers. I just need to find time to, I need to clear this out so I can do this, I can't hire someone until I clean that little nook out over there so I can put a desk. And so it becomes excuses, and then it starts snowballing, and I got to the point where at the end of the day, I mean, with I got like 14, 15 employees now. I just hired a couple more guys, but with that many employees, it's when you start having problems, you have to sit back, and everything is my fault. I'm the one that started this. I'm the one that got it here. I'm the one that created these messes. But again, you don't know what you don't know. This is why shows like yours and other podcasts and resources out there, kind of helps you kind of sit there and go, oh wow, that's self-reflecting. Okay, I did this. This is my fault. You don't work for anybody anymore. It is your fault. You created this mess. So that's why it's like, okay, if I haven't touched it, I'm paying for this spot and going from there. And so that's definitely leaning out to make it more manageable. You can move around cleaner, more organized, and everything has a place. So
You're
if
more
I'm not there
efficient,
all the
period.
time,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
So let me
it's
jump
a
in
big
right
one
there,
to do.
brother, if you don't mind. The idea that being efficient is basically, it's costing you money, it's costing you mental clarity, and it's costing you time. Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing? In your
Absolutely,
company?
100%.
Now, you could apply that then at all aspects of your life, your house, your car, everything in your world. If it's not efficient, you're basically doing yourself a disservice. That's called a liability in your life, because it's consuming time that could be money, it's consuming money that could be time, and it's creating mental clutter that stops you from like accomplishing your actual goals. So dude, thank you so much for tapping into that and showing us a real life example of how you feel like it is personally hurting your company, and that's one thing you're going to improve on this year. So we're going to hold you accountable to that one, Preston.
Sounds
Go for
good.
it, brother.
Sounds great.
So living a life full of purpose often comes with like giving back to the community or making positive impact. How do you incorporate any like philanthropy? Is that the right word, Lise? Am I saying that?
Philanthropy.
Philanthrop. There it is with the other letters. Philanthropy. Okay. What's your like social give backs? Let's tap into that a little bit. And what I like to tap into is not what you're doing, but why you're doing it, and you feel that's important as a business owner, and all things that you think personally are a reflection of giving back. And it isn't always just charitable events, right? Like say you're serving your inner community at a higher level. Like, could you explore that? The why it's important as a business owner to immediately consider that, not like later, once I get $1 million, I'll give you 10,000. Well, if you're not going to, and Tony Robbins says this, if you're not going to give someone money now, you won't give it to them when you have money.
Yep.
Could you elaborate on like your views on that?
Yeah, so I sponsor some high school marching bands. I'm also part of a diesel advisory board for a high school, like tech school. I grew up. I'm an Eagle Scout, so I was in the Boy Scout community big time. So I give back to the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts quite often. But when I sponsor something, I like to do a working sponsorship, as in I don't just I'll buy the TV, for the donation to raffle it off or whatever. But I'll pull. One of my hobbies is DJing, so I'll pull my equipment out there and DJ one of their events. I'll bring all my trucks out there to support their cause. There's a high school marching band I put their car show together for to and I end up running the whole thing. So it's so again, I like to be out there working the one-on-one and seeing
How
these.
does that make you feel, brother?
Oh, amazing! It makes my day when at the end of the year I get the picture of the marching band and all the kids have signed it, and because I was in marching
Mm-hmm.
band in school, so so that it did a
Oh,
lot to me on that. Being at working as a team and in scouts, taught me leadership, and so that's what kind of made who I am. So I really try to give back on those. Go through parades. We have a bunch of cool trucks, so hey, let's do whatever we can to help. Let's do it. But again, it's not just about the money. That's why when I do any type of money donations, it's also a working sponsorship. We're going to be out there boots
do
on
you
the
feel that
ground.
that's an asset then? As for like, think about it. Like, do you feel like if you didn't do it, because you'd start losing purpose and reason, right? Like that's part of your fire is like the ability to give back, right? It's a reason to get up, just like you said, your wife and your kid were your reason,
Yep.
right? If you're not giving back to your community, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, what's your point, right? So, would you
Absolutely,
agree?
100%. I mean, your community is what's feeding your company and business. So
Amen. They're your
yeah,
customers,
there it
man.
is.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so you're not doing it for fame and this and this and this. It's hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm doing this money. I'm not just going on trips and buying cool things. I'm now here. I'm flipping money. I'm working my tail off. And so yeah, it's a very big important thing.
Cool, cool. Lisa, I want to kind of play. You had a couple of really good questions. You want to throw one out at Preston real quick for me here before I close out the show?
Well, one of them is if you were talking to your 18-year-old self, what piece of advice would you give that person?
Read more, study more, and I think those are the biggest things. I've never been the follow the leader type of person. I've been always beating my own drum a little bit, but the researching into something and kind of researching it with a follow through has always been my issue. That's why it kind of took me so long to. If I understand a little bit of business or kind of looked into where I wanted to go on my dreams a little bit, I could have. I mean, I started my shop at 23, but I could have done that a little bit sooner. Um, but uh, um,
Hmm.
but yeah, definitely. There's so much that they don't teach you in the school. It's crazy, and
I agree.
yeah, and so that's why all these podcasts and business and all this. I mean, it's a different world. You only know what you're forced to get taught, and so if I studied and read a little bit more, I would have opened a whole different chapter of a world I didn't know about.
Is there one book in particular that like you would recommend to someone?
Oh man, I don't. I'm so bad at that. I'm not a big read. I'm audiobook guy. Because I'm always busy, busy, busy.
Well, give our entrepreneurs something, brother. What helped you the most? That's all we're looking for. What book inspired you? Doesn't have to be business. Could be a spiritual book. What really
I
helped
say
you?
what
You
kind of
feel
kicked it off is a book is the subtle art of not giving an F.
okay? Not giving a fuck, huh? All
Especially
right.
how this world is. It really made you sit back and think and go, this guy has a point, and it made you kind of think about your own self, not what everything else is going around, and that I think that's what kind of set the fuse a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I've been digging into this little, and it's just been a wormhole ever since. Like, okay, what's here, what's there, what's here, what's there, and yes, hey,
Got to be
it's
careful what you read. You never know what that book will burn a fire inside you there. So,
no, that's no joke. That's
for
no
sure.
joke.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate you being here, Preston, sharing your stories. Maybe we'll have you back. I know we got cut short and we had some technical difficulties. We worked through it like we always do, killing it. This has been an enlightening episode of Fire Your Boss Fridays. We hope you found inspiration and a valuable insight from Preston's incredible journey as an entrepreneur. And I know there's more to it. Feel free to follow him on any of his social media. We're going to put a link to that book he recommended in our podcast bio here as well. Remember the principles, guys. When you're stealing your life back, firing your boss, and living a life full of purpose, they're not mere ideals. They are a purposeful, powerful concept that can transform your life. Preston's story has exemplified this in a true essence of taking charge of his destiny and crafting a purpose-driven path. And I hope that has translated for you guys. Now, in the words of James Allen, you are today where your thoughts have brought you. You will be tomorrow where your thoughts take you. Let Preston's journey and wisdom guide you to pursue your dreams fearlessly and embrace the opportunities that align with your passions. Remember the fire he talked about and what motivates him. Take a moment to reflect on how you can integrate these principles into your own life and any of your entrepreneur journeys, whether you're seeking to reclaim control of your time, ignite your entrepreneur fire, or live a life of meaningful purpose. Remember that the power to shape your destiny lies within you. We believe in you guys, all of our listeners, your potential to achieve greatness. I know we've done it ourselves, even in adversity. Let this episode be a catalyst for positive change, and we'll look forward to seeing you on another episode. Thank you for being part of our journey. Always, people. We'll see you next time on Fire Your Boss Fridays. Until then, stay fearless. Keep dreaming big. Never stop striving for the extraordinary. The end. Thanks, Preston.
Thank you guys very much for having me. Have a wonderful day.
You too.
Yeah, you too, man. Take her easy.